Victoria seems like a much more critical and better judge of character. At what point do you think Victoria saw the Sussexes as a liability to the Beckham brand?
Well, I think it's mixed. I think that once she saw Meghan when she came to London in 2016, 2018, and she reached out to Victoria to get freebies, Victoria was happy to see her clothes on Meghan. Very good looking woman, a duchess. Whatever Meghan was wearing would be an instant sellout. But Meghan had her own way of dealing with people who were trying to use her. She wanted not only freebies, but wanted some sort of payment too, which wasn't allowed under the rules of the royal palace. So that stung Meghan. I think Meghan then got worried, as I tell in the book, about when David was asked by Harry to come to Sydney, Australia, to help launch the Invictus Games, the competition for disabled servicemen. And Beckham went to Sydney, flew all the way across the world with Victoria, and got to the stadium only to find that he was snubbed by Harry. He was ignored, and as my book reveals, that was because Meghan had decided she didn't want Victoria and David to have the publicity while she was in Australia. She wanted to dominate the newspaper headlines and not let them intrude. So I think there's a lot of jealousy there. And Meghan, in the end, was very ungrateful because she had been using the Beckham's home in Los Angeles, in I think it's Beverly Hills somewhere, when she did her private trips to LA to see her mother and see some friends there. And she never publicly acknowledged that debt. So it's a very tumultuous relationship. Both wanted something from each other, and it seemed to have become a one-way street at one time.
Tom Bauer just laid down the truth about Meghan Markle and Prince Harry. He calls them victims of their own stupidity, and honestly, he's 100% right. These two had every opportunity handed to them on a silver platter, and somehow they've managed to mess up everything. Think about this for a second. They had the full power of the royal family behind them. Meghan was treated like a global icon when she first married into the monarchy. And instead of building on that, she and Harry chose to become professional victims. No. They are losing friends, losing influence, and losing credibility. Now let's talk about one of their dumbest mistakes: destroying their friendship with Victoria and David Beckham. Folks, the Beckhams are one of the most powerful celebrity couples in the world. They have connections in business, entertainment, and global philanthropy. They were loyal supporters of Meghan and Harry, until Meghan's jealousy ruined everything.
That is so true. I mean, I took away two things from what you just said. A, we only acknowledge Tyler Perry. We'll acknowledge Tyler Perry's house, we'll acknowledge Tyler Perry's private jet, but we're not going to acknowledge the Beckhams, which seems kind of cruel. And then additionally, Victoria might have met her match when it comes to jealousy, because Meghan Markle is, clearly a very jealous individual as well. The Beckhams are so strategic and controlling when it comes to media attention. What could the Sussexes learn from the Beckhams when it comes to how they manage to manipulate the media?
Well, I think that the Sussex have tried to manipulate the media. I think the original Netflix interview with, or the one originally with Oprah Winfrey, was a huge attempt to manipulate the media. The misfortune was that Meghan said 17 things in that interview which were starkly untrue, whereas the Beckhams are far too clever to ever put on a video series that they've done anything which is ostensibly clearly untrue or will be seized on, although many of the things in the Netflix series about the Beckhams were absolutely untrue. But they got away with it. I mean, I list them in the book. But there's a sort of sympathy towards the Beckhams in the British media because of the Beckhams' brilliant manipulation of the media, that they're allowed to get away with it, whereas the Sussexes, Meghan has behaved so badly, Harry has been so disloyal to his family, that they start from such a advantage, the Sussexes, that they can't actually recover any sympathy from the public because of the way they treated the Queen, the King, and the general public, who were initially so supportive of them.
Right. I just imagine David Beckham standing in that queue for 11 hours when you talk about that. There is something, the queue to see the Queen, pay his respects to the Queen, the late Queen Elizabeth. There is something that is so much more authentic and sincere about David Beckham. And he seems to know when to lean into stories that Prince Harry is just oblivious to.
Are you kidding me? Meghan wasn't just asking for free clothes. She expected to be paid for wearing them. This woman was given the platform of a lifetime as a royal, and yet she still acted like a Hollywood influencer hustling for brand deals. And it doesn't stop there. David Beckham was personally invited by Prince Harry to attend the Invictus Games in Australia. He flies across the world, ready to support Harry and his cause, and what happens? Meghan shuts him out. Why? Because she didn't want anyone else getting media attention. Let me get this straight. David Beckham, a global sports icon, flies to Australia to support Harry and Meghan decides to snub him? Folks, that is next-level arrogance. And here's the kicker. Meghan and Harry used the Beckhams' house in Beverly Hills for private trips. And did they ever thank them publicly? Nope. They only acknowledge people when it benefits them. The Beckhams were disposable in Meghan's world. Use them, then dump them.
Well, absolutely. But of course, the queuing to see the Queen, last respects to the Queen, was very carefully contrived by his media advisors. And isn't it funny how the media got a tip-off just 2 hours after he joined the queue? So I think that I'm sure it was sincere. He certainly is a monarchist, and it worked brilliantly for him. I think the trouble with Harry and Meghan, that their loyalty and their sort of is just so phony. Nobody believes that they have respect for the Queen after the way they treated the Queen. Nobody believes when Harry dashed to London to see his sick father that he really wanted to commiserate after the way he treated his father, and more importantly his brother and Princess Kate, the Duchess of Cambridge. I mean, that was terrible, the way they treated Kate and lied about her. And so I think, it's just, they started off brilliantly, the Sussexes, and threw it away. The genius of the Beckhams is that for 25 years they've sustained the fiction, the image and the brand. And the Sussexes would love to have emulated the Beckhams, but I think it's too late for that for them.
Amen. All right, you talked about Prince Harry and Meghan lying about the Princess of Wales, Catherine. Now, ITV has announced that Prince Harry has taken part in a documentary about phone hacking. I'm just curious to know, is violating someone else's privacy really the hill Prince Harry wants to die on? I mean, has he read the pages of Spare? Has he read Omid Scobie's Endgame? It does feel like the royal family has had their privacy violated immensely over the last 4 years, specifically by the Sussexes.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, the hypocrisy is phenomenal, but intelligence is not one of Harry's greatest assets. He's very clever at being unable to understand his own shortcomings and the contradictions in his own posture. It is extraordinary that he's agreed to do that, if it actually does happen, because it puts a further rift between him and Britain and between him and the royal family. But, he's a damaged young man, and he's living with a woman who hates the media because they don't do what she wants, who's totally failed to manipulate the media in the same way the Beckhams have. And so he's angry. Harry is angry, and he has become a tool of a group of anti-media lawyers and other agitators in London who want to destroy the media here because it's profitable for them. And he can't see a way out of it for the simple reason he has no purpose in life anymore, Harry. He had a purpose when he lived in London and was a member of the royal family. But there he is on the West Coast. He can go paddling, he can sit in his garden and smoke. But what else has he got to do? So the chance of attacking the media, which has not bought his ridiculous fictions, both in his own book and in Omar Scobie's book, appeals to him. It gives him some purpose in life. It all boils down to his complete misunderstanding of his mother's relationship with the media, his ridiculous assertions and allegations that it was the media that murdered his mother, which is completely ridiculous. His mother manipulated the media as well as the Beckhams do, probably even better, and played with the media. But he doesn't understand that because he just doesn't have the intelligence to understand so much in his own life.
Now let's talk about why Harry and Meghan are desperate right now. Hollywood is done with them. When they left the royal family, they thought they were going to be A-list celebrities walking red carpets making blockbuster deals. And guess what? Netflix is losing interest. Spotify called them grifters. They burned bridges with people like Oprah, the Beckhams, and even Serena Williams. No one wants to work with them. And here's why. Hollywood can smell a fraud from a mile away. People know Meghan and Harry aren't authentic. They aren't talented. They aren't charismatic. And worst of all, they come with drama. Nobody wants to deal with their never-ending victim narrative. Meghan and Harry want all the perks of celebrity life but none of the responsibility. Well, guess what? Hollywood doesn't work like that. You have to actually contribute something. Let's be real, Harry and Meghan did this to themselves. They had everything: fame, money, power, royal status. But instead of using it wisely, they destroyed their own reputations. They picked fights with the royal family, the media, Hollywood, and even their own former friends. They thought they could be untouchable. Instead, they are isolated, mocked, and fading into irrelevance. No, they're stuck. They can't go back to the royal family because they burned that bridge. They can't rely on Hollywood because their brand is toxic. And their Netflix and Spotify deals? Drying up fast.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it boils down to that anger, so he's stuck in a place. Do you think that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle regret the way that they treated the Beckhams? Do you think that they look at what's taken place and think, oh, it would be nice to have them on our side?
Yes, I do think that, and I think that they made a terrible mistake. But that is the nature of the Sussexes. They are victims of their own stupidity and follies. They keep on irritating people and keep on annoying people and lose friends very quickly. And so that huge well of sympathy, which undoubtedly was there when they arrived in Hollywood, has evaporated, as it evaporated in Britain too. I mean, the Beckhams are a brilliant lesson in how to create and sustain a brand and how to bury the reality and create fiction and image until my book comes along and shows the truth.
Would you ever consider a book about the Kardashians? Because they're the only other entity that I can think of that has done such a strong job of building a brand not based on reality and, just shamelessly pushing through despite us knowing that things aren't always perfect. They just continue to push out the Hulu content.
It is an amazing story. You're right. I might. It's not a bad idea. It's a good idea. They are phenomenal. They are the trailblazers of creating genius from nothing, the genius of creating brilliance from just an image and manipulating of the media. And there's no doubt there's in my book a lunch between Victoria and Kim Kardashian somewhere in LA, where clearly Victoria is asking for advice on what to do and gets it and ups her game as a result of it.
Well, and now I've got to have that lunch. That sounds like a good lunch to have.
So what happens next? Are they going to crawl back to the royal family? Try to rebrand themselves again? At this point, it doesn't even matter. The world sees through them. Their grift is over. Because here's the truth. When you spend your entire life betraying people, burning bridges, and playing the victim, eventually people stop listening. And that, folks, is exactly what's happening right now.